developing story. Political analyst Ronnie Chatah joins us live from Beirut. Ronnie, how are these developments being seen from where you are right now?
This is the ugliest form of sectarian violence. Unfortunately, this is too familiar to this part of the world. The videos that have emerged from Syria are horrendous. And there's no question that the moment these types of images circulate, there is the threat of spillover violence. And we've seen that play out. Nearly 250 or so deaths since this latest round. And of course, it comes with the ugliest version of what is sectarianism, meaning there's the mosaic that fractures whenever security spills out of control. This time it's the Druze community in Syria. Months ago it was the Alawite community. Weeks ago, the Christians, the church bombing in Damascus. And in Lebanon, where I am, we went through 15 years of civil war where this was a daily occurrence. So unfortunately, this is how violence spills out of control. That said, it is good news that a ceasefire seems to be taking hold and going into effect, but the threat remains.
What would you say is Israel's actual goal here? It says it's about protecting the Druze in Syria.
I can describe Israel's goal not just in Syria, but in Lebanon, in the Palestinian territories, and in the region at large, extending to Iran. Israel is setting all the security conditions for the moment, and that includes outrageous attacks in Damascus, which is actually what we were just describing with your previous correspondent, a military headquarters being struck in the heart of Damascus, the Umayyad Square. This is something quite shocking. The Israelis are able to get away with a lot, to the point that when threats are not met with any response that at least satisfies Israel's concerns, they hit, and they hit hard. For the moment, this sort of protection of the Druze community, for the moment, across the Golan Heights, seems to be an excuse to lay out further security conditions for the region. I'm afraid that this type of escalation only brings counterattacks, and I think you're going to see not the cessation of hostilities or the movement towards peace, which a lot of people were talking about in recent weeks, whether it's between the Syrians and the Israelis or the region at large. I think this is obviously going in the opposite direction, where the Israelis simply don't care. They want to set their conditions despite the reaction.
Ronnie, how do you think this de-escalates? We've heard Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State of the US, saying he thinks in the next few hours we could see progress and a de-escalation. Are you confident that that will happen?
I'll take the bigger picture if that's possible. The minoritarian rule that defined Syria for over 5 decades, the previous regime in Syria, the Assad regime, you're seeing the consequences of that type of governance, the bad side of that type of governance actually spilling out of control, meaning there's no concrete path yet. Whether Marco Rubio sees one or not is separate. But there is no concrete path as of now for what type of power sharing can actually exist in Syria that makes sectarianism not negative, but something that's descriptive, meaning communities sharing power, not communities seeking an exit, not partition, not divorce. On the contrary, a type of unity that has accountability. I don't know if Ahmed al-Shara can pull it off, but I think there is expectation at this stage that the hope is he can. Now, I'll say something very carefully here. A lot of accusations have been thrown against this new regime. This is not the Assad regime, but that said, it has to be held to account. If it is not held to account, you will see, I think, the consolidation of power, which reminds us more of dictatorial rule rather than progress. And I think we're at that crossroads right now. We're seeing it play out.
These images that we see of Syria right now, what does it say about the country, and where will the countries be that have made strong relations with the new government there in Syria over the past few months?
This is a fledgling regime at best. It has not consolidated full control over all of Syrian territory. We have not seen a peaceful way for this new regime to do that. That said, there are ongoing discussions, ongoing negotiations, and ceasefires that include the Druze community, which is a sign of progress. But it has to be peaceful. It cannot be met by force. Violent reactions will not get anyone far in Syria. We saw what happened to Syria in the last 15 years. I don't think anyone in Syria or anyone in the region wants to see more bloodshed in Syria. I don't think this will degenerate into full-out civil war. But the new regime, should it want to survive, and should it want to have the credibility all communities apply towards it, it has to find a power-sharing mechanism that works for Syria. Lebanon's is very, very difficult. It's convoluted. It has quota systems that make it very inefficient. Maybe Syria may adopt something from Lebanon. Hopefully the good side of pluralism and not the bad side of pluralism, which is what we're seeing happen, the violent breakdown of society. I don't think we're there, but we should not risk it. The ceasefire is good news.
Ronnie, thank you very much indeed. Ronnie Chatah, political analyst, speaking to us there from Beirut.